Kenneth Harding was murdered by the San Francisco Police Department. His family's here to speak on who he was and why they're fighting for him.
Nika!
I love y'all too, and I appreciate being here. And thank you so much for having me. As you know, my son was Kenneth Harding Jr. He was 19 years old. He had came out here to the Bay Area, to San Francisco. He wasn't even here for 24 hours before he was murdered. My oldest son has a 10-year recording contract, and Kenny was coming to meet my brother, who lives in Richmond, to give him his music so that he could get his own career. On that day, he was on the transit, and the police approached him and asked him to provide proof of fare. And when he didn't, they removed him from the transit where he gave chase. He was running with his hands up, and he had his cell phone in his hands. They said he had a gun. They double teamed him, came from 2 different directions, and shot him 10 times in the back, made him lay in the ground for over 28 minutes to bleed out and die. This happened in a plaza, and there was over 150 people out there that day, as well as in front of 2 playgrounds filled with children that day. So you can go on YouTube and you can view the murder yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You can make your own informed decision. My son was supposed to start college in September. He never had any children. I'll never get to see what he was going to grow to be. I'll never receive any grandchildren from him, and I miss him. This is my other daughter. She's 6 years old. She was 4 years old when it happened. We're from Seattle. So in the blink of an eye, my whole life changed. And we had to uproot and move out here, and I'm going to just say to fight, because we know there's no justice. Look around. It's just us. So this is what it's going to take to get those legislations, laws changed, to change the policeman's Bill of Rights so that they can be held accountable for murder the same as you or I would. So I would also like to say that through my son's death, the Kenneth Harding Foundation was formed, and on the 3rd Sunday of every month, we go to the very spot where his blood still stains the ground, and we feed the community. Last Sunday was our 18th consecutive month. So I'd like to thank all of you for bringing the food that you did to donate, because it is going to go to very good use. We have to support our communities. This is the work that has to be done. And it's going to take, you see, the village for any of this to change. I stand with all of you. I hope all of y'all stand with me. My daughter has sacrificed enough. She's already lost her brother, and now she has to sacrifice her mother to get out here to fight so no one else loses their child. And my whole aim is to make sure that another mother doesn't experience the same pain that I feel. I've already lost my son. There's nothing I can do to get him back. But I can come out here, stand up, and fight back to make sure somebody else doesn't lose theirs. Thank you very much. I stand in solidarity with all of you, and I appreciate being here.
Justice for Kenny!
Yes! Justice for Kenneth Harding! Justice for Kenneth Harding! Justice for Kenneth Harding! Justice for Kenneth Harding! Justice for Kenneth Harding!
You got this, Tracy. Okay, come on.
I'm going to introduce these families one at a time, but they're up here together because that's how we do it. We fight together. Okay?
Right.
First, I want to introduce Tracy Davenport. She's going to be speaking on behalf of her son Tony Francis, who was murdered in Bellflower by the LA County Sheriffs. Those LA County Sheriffs are some murdering people, man. You're going to be hearing a lot of stories about people who lost their loved ones to the sheriff, but Tracy's going to start it off. Let's hear about Tony Francis.
You guys, I'm a big crybaby.
That's all right.
I love my son so much. He was my baby. On August 24th, Tony was murdered by Lakewood Sheriff in the city of Bellflower. He was shot in the back of the head. He was shot in the leg and in the back. The police chased him. Tony ran. He chased Tony. Tony jumped the fence. He rammed his car into the fence and knocked him down. And then he said Tony tried to get up. And he shot Tony on the ground 3 times. He murdered my son. And still today, I do not know who that officer is. It's been 11 months. They say he don't work there, but he transfers somewhere else so he can kill someone else's son. And it took 2 weeks for me to identify my son's body. Just knowing someone tell your son is dead and you haven't seen his body, I couldn't sleep for weeks. I know all you guys know how it feels to know your son is not here no more. It took all of God to save my life because I wanted to take my life. My son, I wish I could have switched bodies with him. He's only 22 years old with a 2-year-old child. And every day she said, Granny, where my daddy? My daddy at your house? No, daddy coming here. Granny, no, my daddy. And you know that hurt. I can't even tell a 2-year-old her daddy's never coming home. And this officer still got his life. He riding around trying to kill one of you guys' son. I don't know. But you guys, y'all give me so much strength. Look out and look at everyone. And let me know I'm not alone. Thank you guys.
My son his name was Devon Johnson Dixon, and he was murdered 4 years ago by Mark Alvarez of the San Bernardino Police Department. I had 2 witnesses that saw everything, and they said that the witnesses only felt sorry for me, and one of the witnesses hated the police. We had a federal case and lost it. My son was walking down the street. He had an argument with his girlfriend, and from what I was told by the witnesses, the police pulled up, asked him his name. He turned around with his hands up, and the officers shot him in his heart. Of course, they lied and said my son had a gun. They showed a gun when we were in court. The witnesses testified that my son never had a gun. I had one lady who could not testify. I appreciate her. I understood what she meant. She told me she was not a citizen, but it happened in front of her house. She said my son had nothing in his hands. This is my first time in 4 years coming to an event like this and seeing so many parents, sisters, brothers who are experiencing the same exact thing that I'm experiencing, and I never ever thought that people felt the same pain that I feel. I am very grateful to God. I'm grateful to Jean for connecting me with everybody. And I just hope that we continue to fight. We can't stop. We have to continue to fight for each and every one of our loved ones because we're their voice. And I just appreciate God for even allowing me to know that there are so many people out here fighting for our children, for our loved ones.
Okay, the next speaker, this is like my second mom right here.
That's right.
All right, I'm a Nida's writer.
That's right.
Michael Nida was my best friend. He was murdered in the streets of Downey by Officer Steve Gilley, October 22nd, 2011. And we've been fighting ever since. And this woman right here, this is Mikey's mother. Her name is Jean Thaxton. She's our inspiration. She's the one who helped put this group together. We're going to do this together. That's what we learned. So please listen to Jean as she tells you about my friend, Michael Nida.
Hello, everybody. The first thing I want to say was, this young lady did not say her name. This is Monica Smith. And I wanted to make sure that you know that, because when you're on Facebook or any of the other social media sites, you'll know who she is. Okay? As Damien said, I'm Jean Thaxton. I'm Michael Nida's mother. And I'll tell you off right away that my name is Jean Thaxton, not Nida. And I'll tell you this because Michael is not my biological child. He was our nephew. We raised him from birth. So I always tell people that Michael was not born of my body. He was born in my heart. He was my baby. He was our 5th child. He was like everybody's baby. And I always tell people, love doesn't divide, it multiplies. And you can't have too many people love you. So my Michael had 2 sets of parents. He had my husband, Jerry, and I. And he had his biological mother, Maritza Odell, and his biological father, Michael Nida. And we now call him Michael Nida Sr. because our son was named Michael Nida II. I want to thank all of you guys for coming out here. I think this is wonderful. I want to thank Damien. Let me tell you, when we started this, we went out and we didn't even know what to do. And we started joining in together. Damien contacted some of the people in Anaheim, and we joined in with them, and we just kept contacting groups so that we could grow. And I think this is a result of it. We contacted people here in Southern California. The Southern California people contacted the people in Northern California, Central California, and look what we've got. And we're going to get bigger. We're going to get bigger, and we need your support. And you know what? You need to tell your family. Go on YouTube and watch this.
That's right.
But I want to tell you a little bit about our son. Mike was a father of 4 children. He loved his babies so much. He loved his wife so much. Michael became a dad when he was 17 years old. 17 years old. When he and his wife turned 18, shortly after they turned 18, they went down to the courthouse, they got their marriage license, and they got married. And they stayed together that whole time, his entire life. He was married to the same woman, and he had 4 children with her. They were his reason for living. And Michael's last dying words were, "Tell my babies and tell my wife that I love them." A police officer stole my son, the father of my grandchildren, the husband of my daughter-in-law. I also want to tell you that I want to tell you what happened. He was excited about going out that night. It was his birthday in 3 days. He was going to go celebrate it with some friends in Hollywood. He called me, and my husband and I were at the grocery store and said, "Come on, Mom, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Come on, we're going to meet some friends. We're going to go to Hollywood to celebrate my birthday." We did. We hurried home, much to my regret. We hurried home because we had to be there with his son. The girls were my other daughters, and we hurried home. He went to the gas station to gas up the truck and get some food for his son. And less than a half an hour later, my daughter-in-law called me on the phone and said, he's down on the ground, they shot him. I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" "They shot him. They shot Michael." My husband and I ran over there about a mile away from our house, and they were putting Michael in the ambulance. They would not let his wife go with him. And I want to tell you what happened. He was getting gas. He went across the street to get some cigarettes for his wife. He was looking over his shoulder because he was crossing a busy intersection. Police officer was there. There had been a robbery. Somebody held up at a Bank of America a block away, about a half an hour, 45 minutes before that. She thought that robber was dumb enough to stay in the area. She thought Michael was one of the robbers. He did not fit the description of the suspects. The suspects were supposed to be wearing a black hoodie and a red plaid hoodie. Michael had on a blue and yellow striped shirt. And you know what that police officer said? Well, sometimes people confuse stripes with plaids.
Stupid.
And she's a police officer, Lord forbid.
Stupid people!
Stupid people. Anyway, Michael went in the store. When he came out, she stopped him. She questioned him. He heard her on the radio, and she wanted ID. I think she told him that he stopped him for jaywalking. She turned kind of slightly away from him. Knowing my son, he probably said, oh, hell no, she's not going to run my birthday weekend. And he jumped up and he ran. And he ran across the street back towards his wife, and he saw the other police cars, and he ran between Arco Station and Walgreens, jumped over a fence in the neighborhood there, called his wife and said, come get me, the cops are chasing me. She said, why? He said, I don't know, just come get me. He jumped back across the fence to join her. The police officers that were in the car, that had been in the car, there was 2 police officers at that time. One of the police officers thought he was in a war zone because he brought out a submachine gun, an MP5 submachine gun. And when my son came back over the fence, they told him to get on the ground and spread his arms. He did. When he come over the fence, his shirt went up around his neck. They saw he didn't have a gun. When the police officer that shot him in the back patted him down, he patted him down. He put the gun to his head. He said, I'm going to blow your head off. And then he proceeded to stomp on my son's back, who had a bad back, by the way, because he was in construction. What do you do when somebody grabs an area of you that's injured? You jerk back. He jerked. The cop fell. Not all the way down. He lost his balance. When he did that, the cop had already told my son he's going to blow his head off. And what did he do? When the cop lost his balance, my son ran. He ran for his life. He ran for his life. The cop turned around with the gun. He swung around and he shot him in the back. When we went to the hospital, they told us that he was shot 5 times. But the autopsy said there was 3 bullets with 5 wounds. I guess some exit wounds. Then they came out on the news and said that they had captured a robbery suspect who was a gang member and had a weapon. My son did not have a weapon because he wasn't involved in the crime. He didn't even own a weapon. He was not a gang member. He was not involved in any kind of illegal activity. But they wanted to dirty him up. They denied that they shot him in the back for 3 months until one of the online newspapers came out with the autopsy report and put it on the internet. Then they had to admit that, yeah, they shot him in the back. My son was innocent, just like all these other young men. So many of these young people. You know, I'm going to tell you, before this happened to my son, I used to sit in my living room and watch TV and hear all the news about the police, how they had captured a gang member, they had shot him, he was involved in a robbery, he was on drugs, and he had a gun, and he reached for his gun, and I believed it. I believed it.
No more.
I believed it. How awful of me. How ignorant I was. How ignorant. How ignorant so many people are out there. They believe it. I don't believe it anymore.
That's right.
And I apologize to all of you. I apologize to all of you for believing that for all those years. I just want to thank my family. I want to thank Damien. He's always been by our side. My husband, Jerry. My niece, Sherry. My daughter, Terry. Terry Ramirez, where is she? Tracy, these have been our support group. We've been there together. We work together. We don't work. We protest together.
That's right.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. God bless all of you. Not in brothers.
Oh, that is right.
Before we have our next speaker, we're going to make a quick announcement. 1 second, guys. Right. Look, right now, we've got our family members that were coming up. I understand this is taking a while. This is what it is. This is what it is, okay? There's over 30 families here, and we're going to make sure everybody gets to tell you about their loved ones. But we got to be patient. We got to stick around, because when we're done with this, we're going that way. We're not done marching. We're not done marching, okay? Right now, we're gonna learn about our loved ones. and then we're going to take it back to the streets. So please bear with us, listen to everybody's story, because when it's all said and done, we're going to get back to the streets. All right, I'd like to introduce the family of Jason Bidds, who was murdered by the Santa Ana Police Department.
Hi, my name is Krista. Well, my brother, he's 23 years old. He had a heart of gold. He played his music with his soul. One day he borrowed a vehicle, a van, parked it in a neighborhood with a flat tire. He returned the next morning, which was Halloween morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. And he was trying to fix the tire when this man came out of his house in his boxers and his t-shirt with his gun drawn, never identified himself as a police officer, straight ran up on my brother, had the gun in his face, accusing him of stealing this vehicle that was loaned to him. My brother told him, "Look, sir, I'm not stealing this vehicle. This is my friend's vehicle. I borrowed it." And then the cop told him, "Shut up, you fucking liar," excuse my language. And that's when my brother said, "Can you get that gun out of my face?" And the cop wouldn't get the gun out of his face, so he ran. My brother had a pair of board shorts on, nothing but a string holding him up. He chased my brother on foot for 3 blocks. He couldn't catch him, so he went back to his house, grabbed his keys to his personal vehicle, went and chased my brother down, shot him from the back, and killed him, drug him into his personal vehicle, drove him 3 blocks away, and said that he was trying to steal his car to justify it, and they all just cover it up and cover it up. And I wish justice, I hope that we all can come together and just make a lot of fucking noise and bring these motherfuckers down. They think because they got a badge that they could go and take an innocent person's life and that's their license to kill. Well, those loved ones who got killed, we ain't gonna let down and we ain't gonna back down. We're gonna fight for justice and fight for what we deserve.
Thank you all for coming, and hope you can all support. And our cause is justice for JJ. I'm fighting it through the courts. It's been a long battle for 2 years. I've hit many dead ends. They've told me the story changes over and over. They told me I'm not going to get anywhere, but I'm going to get somewhere, and I'm going to get justice for my son. He was 23 years old. He loved life. He loved people. He was a sweetheart and would do anything for you. And they cannot keep on getting away with it. And I hope that for all of our sakes that we can fight and do something about it and at least save someone else's child from getting killed.
Sorry to interrupt these wonderful stories of heartbreak and struggle and fighting back. I just need